Venus in second house, Uttara Phalguni Leo side. Venus placed in Ariana's second house directly links her emotional security, family values, material wealth, and self-worth to the themes of beauty, partnership, and refinement. Venus rules her fourth house of home and inner happiness, and her 11th house of gains, friends, and aspirations, binding her emotional well-being and social fulfillment to how well she nurtures and cultivates values of love, harmony, and beauty within her personal life. Venus in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra indicates that marriage or long-term partnerships will become a major turning point for her financial prosperity and emotional grounding. Her partner is likely to possess a strong love for comfort, luxury, and artistic beauty, reinforcing and amplifying her own Venusian desires for an aesthetically rich and emotionally secure life. Financial growth and emotional flourishing after marriage is strongly indicated, making relationships a major foundation for her rise. Her emotional and financial life could flourish through arts, jewelry, music, event management, or cultural preservation. Ariana carries an innate gift for organizing artistic events, packaging artistic deals, promoting beauty-related ventures, and creating environments that blend comfort and elegance. This orientation also makes her naturally suited for roles that blend diplomacy, artistic promotion, and social leadership within networks. However, Venus here also warns of emotional codependency. There is a strong pull to seek validation, emotional nourishment, and financial security from partnerships, which, if left unchecked, could lead to a loss of individual boundaries. Her personal growth will hinge on creating inner self-worth independent of external admiration, allowing her to express Venusian gifts without emotional entanglement. In terms of extended family and social relationships, Venus strengthens her ability to form nurturing bonds with relatives, friends, and community circles. She may often be the unifying force within gatherings, celebrations, and family networks, using her natural grace and aesthetic sense to bring people together emotionally and socially. Lifestyle tendencies born from this placement include a deep appreciation for music, dance, rituals, and cultural festivities. Emotional satisfaction is greatly enhanced when Ariana is surrounded by beauty, tradition, and elegant artistry. Her personal spaces are likely to be filled with symbols of beauty and refinement, creating emotional environments that heal and inspire not just herself, but others who come into her sphere. Venus in Uttara Phalguni also endows her with healing capabilities through arts and relationship counseling. She may find fulfillment guiding others through emotional transitions via creative therapy, aesthetic transformation, or relationship restoration, blending her material talents with emotional healing power. Business acumen linked to partnerships is particularly strong. Her emotional instincts will favor building ventures where teamwork, beauty, and celebration of relationships lead to tangible prosperity, making her a natural at businesses involving events, luxury, design, or interpersonal consulting. Sun in fourth house, Libra side. Sun placed in Ariana's fourth house deeply integrates her emotional stability, home life, and sense of rootedness with her identity, authority, and personal pride. As the lord of her second house of family, wealth, and speech, the sun ensures that her emotional foundation and early conditioning have a direct influence on how confidently she expresses herself, accumulates resources, and upholds her family values in public and private life. Sun in Chitra Nakshatra suggests that her home environment and emotional spaces are places where creative perfectionism thrives. She is emotionally driven to polish, beautify, and refine her immediate surroundings, aiming to create homes, emotional ties, and family structures that reflect brilliance, pride, and artistic balance. There is a deep internal motivation to present a home or private world that is not just functional, but visually and symbolically inspiring, an emotional sanctuary that also serves as a social statement. The Chitra influence heightens her emotional connection to aesthetics and structured beauty, drawing her toward architecture, interior design, real estate development, or emotionally uplifting public spaces. Her emotional growth will be closely tied to projects where she can organize, create, and beautify tangible emotional environments. Family matters or home ownership could become arenas where she expresses personal leadership, authority, and a sense of contribution to collective emotional security. Emotionally, there is a strong need for validation tied to her role within the family or the home setting. The sense of pride or dignity she gains from creating something lasting, beautiful, and emotionally supportive is crucial to her well-being. However, there is a risk that emotional fulfillment becomes tied to perfectionism or social validation, leading to moments of emotional dissatisfaction if personal or family environments do not live up to her high internal ideals. Relationship dynamics with her father or paternal figures are likely to be highly significant, as the son's placement here often reflects strong emotional imprinting from the father or family elders. Ariana may feel emotionally compelled to uphold family honor, build upon family legacies, or correct emotional patterns she has inherited, particularly regarding dignity, pride, or appearances within the private sphere. Lifestyle patterns emerging from this placement include an emotional love for architecture, arts, structural design, and emotional spaces that feel creatively charged. She would likely find joy in curating beautiful homes, attending cultural events that blend art and tradition, or even involving herself in property or land development projects where emotional fulfillment is gained through tangible creation. There is an innate ability to emotionally lead or organize others within home, community, or emotional projects. She may find herself naturally gravitating toward roles that involve managing family resources, protecting emotional legacies, or initiating creative home building or emotional healing initiatives that leave a visible, dignified mark. Chitra Sun individuals often carry an internal blueprint of emotional pride linked to tangible creations. For Ariana, ensuring that emotional validation is rooted in genuine connection rather than superficial achievements will be the key to unlocking the full creative and emotional potential of this placement. Mercury in fourth house, Swati, Libra side. Mercury placed in Ariana's fourth house directly ties her emotional stability, home life, and inner peace to communication, intellectual stimulation, and adaptability. As the Lord of her third house of communication and courage, and her 12th house of subconscious, losses, and foreign matters, Mercury signifies that the way she processes emotions and builds emotional security is through learning, connecting ideas, and maintaining mental independence. Mercury in Swati Nakshatra indicates that emotional fulfillment comes from freedom of thought, movement, and social adaptability. Emotional spaces that allow her to explore ideas, travel mentally and physically, and cultivate her intellectual independence will be crucial. She will likely resist emotional environments that feel confining or excessively traditional, seeking instead homes, relationships, and inner spaces that allow for growth and flexibility. Her relationships with aunts, uncles, and cousins carry strong importance. These extended family members may hold social leadership roles or enjoy fame, subtly shaping her emotional ambitions. However, Mercury's Swati influence also encourages her to distance herself intellectually from relatives, pushing her to form an independent emotional and mental identity apart from family expectations. Communication is her core emotional tool. Ariana will be quick-witted, playful, strategic, and highly persuasive within emotional negotiations, family discussions, property matters, and contract dealings. Emotional conflicts or agreements involving real estate, family wealth, or home settings will often be resolved through her skillful use of language, mediation, and quick analysis of people's needs and perspectives. Social media may act as an emotional outlet. She is likely to maintain a witty, sarcastic, and insightful online persona, expressing emotions indirectly through clever posts or humorous commentary. Maintaining a presence where intellect and humor merge will help her regulate emotional pressures while strengthening her sense of social relevance and emotional influence. Lifestyle tendencies arising from this placement include a love for walking, traveling, and exploring intellectually stimulating places such as libraries, bookstores, museums, and cultural centers. Emotional healing and replenishment come when she moves, explores, learns, and broadens her horizons. A natural curiosity about plants, herbal remedies, and alternative healing systems may lead her toward emotional self-care routines that blend intellectual interest with holistic healing. Symbolism associated with swords or weapons, whether literal or metaphorical, plays into her emotional landscape. She may be drawn to martial arts, fencing, strategy games, or competitive debates, where emotional assertion comes through cleverness rather than raw aggression. Verbal sparring, quick negotiation, and the sharp articulation of emotional needs form the backbone of her inner emotional self-defense. Business instincts are sharply tuned, especially for remote businesses, international ventures, educational consultancies, or real estate dealings. Entrepreneurial activities connected to home, property, education, and media could become emotionally fulfilling paths. However, she must guard against emotional impulsiveness that could create communication mishaps with legal authorities, especially during emotional confrontations involving property or family agreements. K2 in 5th house, Scorpio side. K2 placed in Ariana's 5th house connects her creative intelligence, emotional expressions in love, and sense of personal joy to deeper karmic themes of detachment, introspection, and emotional complexity. As K2 occupies its own house of past life talents and accumulated merit, it suggests that her emotional approach to creativity, romance, and self-expression is layered with intuitive wisdom, but also periods of emotional withdrawal and isolation from typical pleasures. K2 in Jyeshta Nakshatra amplifies the inner need to protect personal power and emotional dignity, especially in matters of love, creative performance, and parenting. Emotional pride is a core driver, but so is the instinct to detach when situations feel beneath her perceived level of emotional sovereignty. She may excel creatively, but often feels misunderstood or detached from the rewards or admiration that typically come with personal accomplishments. In romantic relationships, this placement creates an emotional pattern where intense loyalty and protection coexist with emotional detachment and solitude. Ariana may attract partners who are powerful yet emotionally unavailable or require deep healing, mirroring her own emotional challenges in trusting and sustaining romantic bonds. Emotional highs in love may often be followed by periods of withdrawal, reflection, and emotional reset. Creatively, K2 in Jeshta provides exceptional investigative, analytical, and intuitive abilities. Emotional fulfillment is often drawn not from superficial creative outputs, but from deep research, uncovering hidden knowledge, or transforming complex emotional material into profound artistic, educational, or counseling work. Her creations could have a strong undercurrent of emotional protection, truth-seeking, and subtle power dynamics. Relationship dynamics with children, students, or younger individuals could be karmically charged. Ariana may be a protective, intense figure, simultaneously nurturing and emotionally distant, encouraging independence and personal sovereignty in those she mentors or raises. Emotional lessons around control, protection, and non-attachment play a major role in how she experiences love and legacy. Lifestyle tendencies associated with this placement include a strong emotional pull toward ancient knowledge, occult sciences, hidden histories, and transformative healing practices. Emotional security may be found in mastering secret wisdom, whether psychological, spiritual, or metaphysical. Her hobbies may involve deep research, secretive creative work, or emotional storytelling that reveals hidden layers of human experience. The Jeshta K2 placement also warns of emotional patterns involving crises of authority, jealousy, and emotional power struggles within romantic, creative, or parenting relationships. Learning to emotionally detach with dignity, rather than withdrawing through resentment, is the karmic maturity K2 seeks to build within her. Business and professional life may be influenced by these themes, where her emotional satisfaction stems not from public applause, but from mastering complex emotional, intellectual, or technical subjects in a way that transforms others' perceptions. Hidden influence, emotional resilience, and the pursuit of deeper truth will define the essence of her creative and emotional journey. Jupiter in 6th house, Purva Ashada, Sagittarius side. Jupiter placed in Ariana's 6th house connects her daily routines, service, health management, and conflict resolution abilities with wisdom, optimism, and the urge for personal and collective growth. As the ruler of her 6th house itself and 9th house of higher learning, Dharma, and fortune, Jupiter here indicates that much of her wisdom, moral strength, and emotional resilience is developed through overcoming daily challenges, health obstacles, and work-related tests of faith. Jupiter in Purva Ashada Nakshatra amplifies the emotional need to transform through service, showing that Ariana approaches work, competition, and conflict with an emotionally idealistic but determined mindset. Emotional satisfaction is linked to achieving victories through optimism, ethical behavior, and nurturing collective well-being, even when facing adversaries or difficult work environments. She naturally carries an emotional zeal for overcoming obstacles through expansive, growth-oriented solutions rather than narrow competition. In work relationships and professional routines, she will favor emotional loyalty, collective improvement, and inspiring leadership. Emotional conflicts may arise when others do not meet her high moral or educational standards, leading to disillusionment if her idealism is not tempered with practical realism. However, she has the gift of emotionally rejuvenating toxic environments by bringing hope, humor, and broad perspectives to daily work struggles. Service to others will form an essential emotional pillar in her life. Roles involving teaching, counseling, healing, or legal ethical advisory positions allow her to channel her emotional wisdom into constructive service. She may naturally act as an emotional coach or ethical guide within workplaces, helping teams or individuals rise beyond pettiness or despair into a vision of collective success. Extended family dynamics, especially with maternal uncles or service-related relatives, may play into her emotional evolution. Relatives involved in law, education, healthcare, or humanitarian professions could become emotional anchors or role models, showing her how daily duty connects to spiritual and emotional maturity. Lifestyle tendencies born from this placement include a deep emotional attachment to physical fitness, healthy living, alternative healing methods, and wellness routines that aim for holistic development. Emotional rejuvenation comes when she feels she is expanding her capacity to serve meaningfully, whether through fitness, teaching, coaching, or legal advocacy. Purva Ashada's emotional symbolism connects to the imagery of the Invincible One, showing that her emotional resilience strengthens every time she faces and overcomes daily adversities. Even when work life is tedious or service feels thankless, her soul grows larger, refining faith, patience, and unconditional service as her deeper emotional superpowers. There is a caution that emotional overconfidence or moral superiority could occasionally alienate coworkers or clients if not managed sensitively. By balancing emotional idealism with compassion and practical realism, Ariana can master the subtle emotional art of transforming adversities into pathways for mutual emotional and material growth. Moon in 6th house, Purva Ashada Sagittarius side. Moon placed in Ariana's 6th house blends her emotional responses, mental habits, and inner nurturing processes with themes of daily service, routine challenges, conflict management, and emotional healing through work. As the lord of her 1st house, the moon defines her very personality, showing that emotional reactions and emotional processing are inseparable from how she perceives herself and navigates everyday life. Moon in Purva Ashada Nakshatra indicates that her emotions naturally seek victory, improvement, and inner cleansing through service, persistence, and moral striving. Emotional rhythms will often mirror the ups and downs of her workplace, daily tasks, and health routines. She feels most emotionally secure when overcoming challenges through optimism, wisdom, and moral strength, aligning herself with higher principles even in ordinary conflicts or struggles. Emotional security ties closely to being useful, being in service, and standing victorious in the face of adversity. Emotional turbulence often arises when daily routines feel purposeless or when ethical conflicts arise at work. Learning to handle daily stress with emotional adaptability and resilience becomes a core life theme, deeply influencing her moods, energy levels, and self-image. In work relationships, emotional sensitivity plays a double-edged role. While she intuitively understands others' emotional needs and can become a compassionate team member or caregiver, she is also prone to emotional overattachment to work outcomes or coworkers' appreciation. Emotional self-worth must be cultivated independently of external validation in professional spaces to avoid emotional exhaustion or resentment. Relationships with maternal relatives, particularly maternal uncles or aunts, may be significant emotionally, offering both support and life lessons in dealing with responsibility, service, and ethical balance. Early experiences with such figures could shape her attitudes towards service, health, and emotional responsibility within groups. Lifestyle tendencies include an instinctive emotional pull toward holistic health routines, alternative healing, meditation, and wellness practices. Her emotional states would fluctuate based on how well she maintains balance between personal wellness and work service demands, making self-care routines critical for emotional grounding and resilience. Symbolically, Purva Ashada Moon ties her emotional evolution to the Invincible One path, learning to sustain emotional purity and optimism even amidst everyday defeats, competition, or disappointment. She is emotionally designed to bounce back, realign with her higher ideals, and rebuild emotional momentum through each cycle of challenge. A key caution is emotional overzealousness or the desire to emotionally fix others at the cost of personal peace. Maintaining emotional boundaries in service and work relationships will be crucial to ensure that her compassion strengthens her without draining her, allowing her to thrive emotionally even in demanding or chaotic environments. Saturn in 7th house. Uttara Ashada, Capricorn side. Saturn placed in Ariana's 7th house binds her emotional maturity, long-term relationship patterns, and commitments to themes of discipline, responsibility, and enduring effort. As the lord of both her 7th house of partnerships and 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, and transformation, Saturn's influence suggests that partnerships, whether romantic, professional, or social, serve as critical arenas for her emotional growth and karmic evolution. Saturn in Uttara Ashada Nakshatra indicates that emotional fulfillment in partnerships is not immediate, but earned slowly through perseverance, maturity, and dedication to collective growth. She seeks partners who embody resilience, responsibility, and ethical strength, yet emotional closeness may develop cautiously and only after long periods of trust building and mutual sacrifice. Emotionally, there is a deep drive to build partnerships that are based on shared principles, loyalty, and long-term goals rather than fleeting passion or superficial attraction. Relationships are approached seriously, often carrying a sense of duty, karmic responsibility, or emotional gravitas. While this can lead to very stable, enduring bonds, it can also make her emotionally hesitant, cautious, or even fearful of vulnerability until absolute trust is established. The Uttara Ashada influence emphasizes emotional leadership within partnerships, a tendency to take on more than her share of responsibility or emotional burden for the sake of collective growth. Ariana may attract partners who are ambitious, structured, or emotionally reserved, reflecting her own internal emotional standards. Alternatively, she herself could become the emotional anchor in relationships, shouldering stability while guiding others toward higher collective goals. Relationships with in-laws, business partners, and emotionally significant allies may evolve through slow, structured phases, sometimes marked by delays, legal formalities, or karmic tests. Emotional loyalty will be fiercely tested, but also deeply rewarded over time. Emotional fulfillment comes not through sudden romantic highs, but through building trust, earning respect, and steadily sharing power. Lifestyle tendencies linked to this placement include a love for long-term planning, structured collaborations, contractual agreements, and building emotional security through shared achievements. Her emotional satisfaction increases when she sees her partnerships maturing over time, turning initial challenges into enduring foundations of mutual respect and responsibility. Symbolically, Saturn in Uttara Ashada grants her the ability to emotionally triumph through persistent effort in relationships. Even when emotional coldness, distance, or misunderstandings arise, she is built to weather storms with patience and rebuild emotional intimacy through resilience, long-term planning, and ethical commitment. A caution arises around emotional rigidity or becoming emotionally burdened by a sense of duty within partnerships. Ariana's emotional lesson lies in balancing commitment with emotional openness, ensuring that loyalty and responsibility deepen love rather than becoming emotional weights that suppress spontaneous emotional joy. Mars in 9th house, Revati Pisces side. Mars placed in Ariana's 9th house connects her drive, ambition, courage, and assertion to matters of higher learning, belief systems, travel, and the pursuit of wisdom. As the lord of her 5th house of creativity and intelligence, and 10th house of career and public standing, Mars signifies that her emotional energy, professional drive, and life path are energized through expansive learning, spiritual journeys, and building higher moral or philosophical frameworks. Mars in Revati Nakshatra points to an emotional and motivational nature that is both action-oriented and spiritually inclined. Emotional satisfaction comes when she channels her drive into helping, healing, and guiding others toward collective or spiritual goals. Mars here transforms her ambition into compassionate action, pushing her toward emotionally meaningful projects involving teaching, counseling, humanitarian work, or creating systems that nurture large groups. The emotional expression of this placement is complex, bold and assertive when it comes to ethical or spiritual causes, yet deeply sensitive underneath. Emotional motivation is triggered by the need to protect the vulnerable, stand up for ideals, and creatively express beliefs. Ariana's career and leadership will naturally carry emotional weight, demanding that she stay connected to her higher principles, even amidst worldly challenges. Relationships with teachers, mentors, spiritual guides, and father figures will be emotionally charged and crucial for her development. She may experience periods of idealizing such figures, followed by emotional disillusionment, ultimately learning to build her own independent moral compass without emotional dependency on external authorities. Travel, especially long distance or spiritual journeys, will serve as critical emotional and psychological turning points. Emotional rejuvenation comes from pilgrimages, philosophical exploration, educational adventures, and immersing herself in cultures or ideologies vastly different from her upbringing. Through these journeys, her emotional maturity, courage, and creative intelligence will deepen significantly. Lifestyle tendencies associated with this Mars placement include emotional excitement through adventure, a strong drive toward higher education, philosophical debates, and a love for exploring spiritual texts, mythologies, and humanitarian philosophies. Emotional energy is restored when she feels she is moving, physically or intellectually, toward greater horizons of meaning. Symbolically, Mars in Revati grants her the role of a spiritual warrior, emotionally brave enough to battle illusions, deceptions, or injustices, not through aggression, but through compassionate assertion, protective leadership, and service-driven action. Emotional fulfillment comes from merging ambition with empathy, leadership with healing, and personal success with spiritual contribution. The caution lies in emotional restlessness if her career or belief systems become too rigid, mundane, or disconnected from meaningful service. Mars demands emotional engagement with causes larger than herself, pushing her to channel her vitality into paths that bridge her creative passions, career ambitions, and humanitarian ideals into one integrated life mission. Rahu in 11th house, Taurus side. Rahu placed in Ariana's 11th house intricately ties her emotional aspirations, friendships, long-term ambitions, and material gains to unconventional methods, social experimentation, and persistent quest for emotional and material fulfillment. As the significator of desires and obsession, Rahu's energy here intensifies her craving for emotional recognition, financial success, and social influence, pushing her toward unique, sometimes non-traditional, paths of achieving dreams. Rahu in Mrigashira Nakshatra enhances emotional curiosity, adaptability, and a restless search for emotional satisfaction through varied friendships, professional networks, and constantly evolving ambitions. Emotional security will not come from one group or one dream alone. It will require continuous exploration, forming different social ties, and experimenting with diverse goals until the right emotional resonance is found. In friendships and social circles, she will display emotional adaptability, playfulness, and keen social intelligence. Relationships with elder siblings, mentors, or powerful friends will be emotionally charged, sometimes leading to beneficial gains, sometimes triggering emotional turbulence if trust or consistency is compromised. She will be drawn to emotionally stimulating, witty, and intellectually curious individuals who expand her social and emotional horizons. Career-related goals will be emotionally critical to her. Material gains, public recognition, and societal achievements will strongly influence her emotional state. She may feel emotionally restless until she finds a cause, project, or social movement that satisfies both her need for personal advancement and her emotional need for meaning. Emotional fulfillment will increase when she combines material ambition with artistic, intellectual, or humanitarian goals. Lifestyle tendencies from this placement show emotional excitement around exploration, attending events, networking, forming diverse friendships, experimenting with different groups, and pursuing multifaceted dreams. Her emotional rejuvenation comes when she feels free to diversify her ambitions without being tied down by rigid expectations or narrow career structures. Mrigashira's influence also gives her a subtle emotional yearning for beauty, luxury, and aesthetic experiences within social contexts. Emotional highs may be tied to luxurious social gatherings, artistic collaborations, or being part of influential cultural or intellectual circles. The charm, restlessness, and quick adaptability of Rahu in Mrigashira will allow her to form emotionally rich alliances across different social and professional landscapes. A caution arises around emotional overscattering. Her curiosity and emotional hunger for variety could sometimes lead to shallow emotional ties, unstable friendships, or feeling perpetually unfulfilled despite achieving social success. Emotional maturity will come when she learns to anchor her friendships, goals, and social ambitions in values of consistency, depth, and sincerity, rather than chasing perpetual novelty. Ultimately, Rahu in Mrigashira promises emotional satisfaction when she embraces her gift of emotional exploration while steadily nurturing emotionally fulfilling friendships, balanced ambitions, and causes that satisfy both her restless mind and her deeper emotional yearning for belonging, creativity, and contribution.